What's going on, everyone? Scott here. Welcome back to the channel. This week, Survivor Season 46, Episode 10, Run the Red Light. Another insane episode of Survivor this week. Another episode this season that's really, it's been strong all season, but really the last 4 weeks has really been, top tier, iconic, peak Survivor. We have the final 8 coming in off of Hunter's Blindside last week, going home with an idol in his pocket. We get back to tribal count. We get back. We get back to camp after tribal council, and Liz is upset that she was not included in the split vote. They try to explain to her that it was a last second thing, finding out about Hunter's idol and having to split the votes last second, so that's why she wasn't included. Tiff is just tired of the drama already with everything that happened with Q at tribal council again, and just wants to get him out. Maria wants to talk to Q. He was sitting by himself by the water after tribal council. She thinks there's still value with Q in this game, and someone that she does trust in this game, and thinks that there's still some fight left in him. Q knows he's got to basically win out to have a shot of winning this game and getting to the end. Q tells Maria, anything I can do to help you and help your game, let me know. Maria wants to keep Q around with bigger targets still remaining in the game. In the morning, Maria, Kenzie, and Charlie talk and say they don't know if pulling off the Tiffany blindside that was talking about last week is still feasible with the numbers left in the game. Maria says, now Kenzie, I know you might not like this, but Q will work with them. Kenzie knows that her and Tiff have basically made every move together to this point in the game, and she has to start building her own resume, and I know this is something she talked about last week as well, that they knew that eventually they're both competitive, they're both going to come after each other at some point. It's just, the old story of, the twosome alliances on Survivor. Who comes for who first? So we have a reward challenge first, and it's the biggest reward of the season, Applebee's. And oh man, was Jeff not kidding? Biggest reward of the season. Obviously, the food portion, and they actually get to stay overnight at the sanctuary where good things happen. But in the cinema that this reward challenge provided to our television screens here on this Wednesday night. But let's just hop into the challenge first. Q gets out to a hot start, first through the obstacle course, first part, and then heads into the net crawl with Maria and Tiffany not far behind him. Kenzie and Liz were struggling to get through the net crawl to get to the end. The tossing part, tossing the sandbag at the top of the pole to win the reward. Eventually they all get there. Liz actually almost gets it on her first toss. Good editing there. And then Q wins the reward. So as we said, get Applebee's, staying overnight at the sanctuary where good things happen. Q says he wants to make things right and chooses Tiff first to try to mend that relationship. Then he also chooses Maria for being there with him when no one else really came up to check on him after last week's tribal council, or should I say last night's tribal council for them. Liz is still distraught, begging to go. We'll get more to that in a minute. But he ends up choosing Kenzie as the third, wants to kind of bring that original Purple Tribe 3 together, and in his words, bring the family back together. Now, here's where the cinema part comes in. Jeff asks Liz, she is upset, and says, are you okay to talk about what you're feeling? She turns around and screams how upset she is, and how Q almost blew up her whole game, and how she hasn't really been able to eat since the merge because she's allergic to basically everything on the island. Can't eat the coconuts, can't eat chicken, can't really eat all this other extra stuff that they find around the island either, really. So she really wanted this reward, but this reward was also extra special to her because her and her daughter back at home, every Wednesday before Survivor, they go to Applebee's, and that's kind of just their thing where you're able to put your phone away, hang out with her daughter, and enjoy Applebee's before Survivor. She said it's her favorite night of the week. And I think to make it even worse, they had the exact burger that she always orders as part of the reward. So she has a little meltdown there. So this is basically just Liz's version of hangry. She apologizes, but like Jeff said, you don't gotta apologize for having emotions in this game. And, she rightfully did, said what was on her mind. But like Q said, you voted for me last night, so I gotta go with where my head is at in the game. Back at camp, Liz is still talking through everything with the people there in Venus, Ben, and Charlie. And then Ben's like, Q's just a villain. That's it. That's all there is to it, especially since, Liz had said beforehand how special this reward was and the connection that it has for her and her daughter. I don't know if this makes me a bad person, but I'm kind of on, and I haven't been a lot this season, But I'm kind of on Q's side with this. Like, Survivor isn't about kissing people's butts. Like, it is to an extent to, help yourself further in this game. But especially in this portion of the game and like a reward portion of the game, you got to go with the strategy of what's going to help get me to the next day. And like you said it, you voted for me last night. And they also have had some back and forth throughout this season where they haven't been on the same side of the vote, you know, for a handful of votes. I don't know if I think they've been on the same side of the vote a couple times, maybe. But, this isn't like an alliance that Q just turned on. This is two people competing against each other, not in an alliance. And Q's basically out there for himself. So he's like, this is probably my best and only shot at moving forward in this game. So this is the route I'm going to go. I'm not mad about Q for it. And, I don't think a majority of people are mad at Q about it either. But I thought Q handled it very well. And I thought Liz was completely justified in, her feeling the way she felt and, how she went about it and how she came out and said it. So I don't think anyone's at fault here or anything was wrong with that. Plus, it was amazing television. Q did say at the sanctuary that it was hard for him to watch Liz crying like that. But, as we kind of said before, wanted to rekindle those original alliances, which might be his only route forward. He tries to pitch, the original Purple Three there with him, Kenzie, and Tiff, and then Maria there as well. Wants to bring in Maria and Charlie to have that 5 and get out Venus and Liz. Kenzie said in a little cutscene that Q is like the unhealthy boyfriend who's like, done all this bad stuff, but then buys me a nice Applebee's dinner to make me have amnesia, to forget about everything that he's done. So I thought that was pretty funny. Wanted to throw that in there. But even Kenzie said that she was shocked that he picked her over Liz. Liz is still just in her feelings back at camp and talks about, kind of as we mentioned before, about her and her daughter's Wednesday night routine, and obviously very emotional and, thankful for Liz to share that story with us. And I'd be lying if I said I didn't get, a little teary-eyed, listening to that story either. At the sanctuary, as soon as Q gets up to, kind of walk up the food, Tiffany says she's not buying any of this crap and he's got to go. Maria still wants to use him as a number, though, and trust him. Getting back to camp the next morning to pour some more salt on the wound. Some of the survivors, they didn't come in, like, talking about, like, oh, we ate this. People were asking about like what the reward was like and how was it. So they were talking about the food and that to pour salt on the wound. They all say no one ate the burger that Liz wanted. Liz apologizes in front of them to Q. But as she said in the cutscene, it's the biggest lie she said and still wants Q out. She's not sorry for it, nor should she be. And Q even said something similar, like in the cutscene, like, you don't need to apologize for me like this again. Like, you don't need to apologize at all. Maria catches Charlie up on what happened at the sanctuary about how Q said, let's get Venus then Liz, but then the girls still wanted to just go with Q. Charlie and Maria still want to get Tiff out first. So we head to the immunity challenge. Jeff offered a similar deal to the one he offered last week to get the rice that would last them to the end of this game. 4 people out or 2 votes, but obviously the prices went up since we're 1 less people now, but still that same number. So, the prices obviously went up in Jeff's words. If not everyone's, willing to sit out, then he has offered, which I do think, and I'm glad that they did do this. This was, I think, kind of more of a, nod to, letting Liz get an opportunity to get herself some food since she has struggled, allergic to basically everything on this island. Give her a shot to get something that she can eat. So if not everyone sits out, each individual that offers to sit out can get a small thing of rice. Kenzie was actually the first one to volunteer. Liz, came as well because obviously she needed the food. And then once no one else was even considering stepping out, Kenzie's like, I'm going to compete, but Liz, like, you take it, like, you need this. So Liz takes the rice and the challenge is on. So you're basically holding the rope with a bucket at the top that's 25% of your pregame weight. So during the challenge, we get some incredible editing. Q's bucket eventually does drop with some incredible editing and kind of getting everyone's reaction. Kenzie's reaction during the challenge when that happened, and then on the bench, Venus's reaction, and everyone on the bench's reaction when Q's bucket drops, because obviously it seems like, hey, that's the easy vote. Q's going home. Nothing's ever as easy as it seems, though. We know this. It comes down to Charlie versus Tiff. Tiff has literally been a statue this whole time and out of nowhere ends up falling. So Charlie wins immunity. Charlie says how he saw that grip strength is actually one of the more important traits for Survivor challenges and has been practicing and working on that beforehand. So it was cool to see his hard work pay off, as he said. Tiffany wanted to beat Q out, though, and be the one to take him out and then, obviously vote him out tonight. She knows she does have that idol, though, and time is running out to use it. Kenzie doesn't think it's worth the risk to try for the Tiff blindside because if she plays an idol and then all the votes are on her, then it can all just be muddy. Tiff jokes with Kenzie, like, oh yeah, tonight could be a good night as long as y'all don't try to blindside me. Kenzie laughs and says, no, not yet, but that's a good idea, though, as they kind of laugh it off. But little do they know, Ben does come around to Maria and Charlie and say Tiff might be the right move, as Maria and Charlie are still trying to drive, this Tiff vote. So they have 4, because obviously Maria has Q involved as well. So they have 4, and Maria, Charlie, and Q going for Tiff currently. So they need to convince one more. They're betting on bringing in Liz, trying to convince her this might be the last shot to get Tiff out. Liz says, as much as I want Q out, do I play this with my heart or my head? I feel like her heart is saying to get Q out because of how upset she's been with Q over especially the last day or two, but over the last, couple days and the last episode or two of the season. But I believe her head's telling her this might be a shot to get, one of the biggest threats remaining in this game out. So I feel like we're in for another crazy tribal council. As Jeff says during tribal council, that Q's been basically a good smokescreen for the other blindsides that happened the last couple episodes. Everyone's everyone's in agreement that this is Q voted out, this is an easy vote, all this stuff. And, Q says, I've got a plan out there. We'll see if they go with it. There's nothing really I can do. I can't force them to, work with me or vote with me. And let me say, they played this off very well and made Tiff feel very comfortable because Tiff did not play her idol, and Tiff ends up going home with an idol in her pocket that is back-to-back weeks, that someone has gone home, and a big threat has gone home with an idol in their pocket. Just absolutely brutal. Kenzie is shocked. So we got an idol search next week, it looks like, and, obviously coming down the last 2-3 episodes of this season. But another insane episode. Tiff did say, after the episode in the little confessional that she was just trying to stretch that idol one more time, and obviously got. She broke her rule, as she said, should have just played that idol. But that's the famous last words. Hunter said the same thing last week as well. But then last thing here, just kind of stock check. I still got the top 3 pretty much the same in terms of favorites to win the game, in my opinion. Kenzie, Charlie, and Maria got those 3 up there. I would probably maybe switch it around a little bit right now. I'd probably have Charlie at 1 right now, Maria at 2, and Kenzie at 3. Just obviously because Kenzie was left out of this vote. I think if she was in this vote, I think, she'd be 1 or 2 with Charlie. I think Charlie, especially because of his performances in the challenges lately, has, kind of brought himself up to that, top tier, 1 spot, at worst 2 right now. Now, are all those 3 going to get to the end? More than likely not. I think eventually Charlie and Maria could turn on each other. I could be wrong. It could be next week. It could be at that final 5. But I could be wrong because it's kind of similar to the Kenzie and Tiff. How long are we going to play together when we've played a similar game, made similar moves? One of us got to move on each other. So we'll see if that happens. But that's kind of where we're sitting at right now. Another crazy episode. And, like I said, if, we even had a quarter of what the last couple episodes have been like to close this season, we're in for a treat. And this episode lived up to the hype of the last couple episodes as well. So I think we're in for a good last couple episodes here and good finish to season 46. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace out.